Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar called Employee Engagement, Data-Driven Strategy to Enhance Workplace Safety. Thank you all for joining us today. We have an exciting session lined up that promises to provide valuable insights into how data-driven strategies can significantly improve workplace safety through enhanced employee engagement. Firstly, I would like to extend a warm welcome and a big thank you to all our attendees. Whether you're joining us from your office, home, or on the go, we appreciate you taking the time to be here with us. Now, I am delighted to introduce our esteemed speakers for today's webinar. Our first speaker is Lieutenant Commander Mahendra Kakti, a senior consultant at CLIDE. Mahendra brings a wealth of experience and expertise in employee engagement and workplace safety. He has been instrumental in implementing innovative safety protocols and fostering a culture of safety in various organizations. Joining Mahendra, we have our guest speaker, Commander Sujoy Majumdar, who is a principal consultant at CLIDE. Commander Sujoy Majumdar has a distinguished background in consulting and has worked extensively on integrating data-driven strategies to enhance safety and efficiency in workplaces. Their insights and practical knowledge will undoubtedly provide us with actionable strategies to improve our own practices. Throughout this session, our speakers will delve into the latest research and case studies, share their experiences, and provide practical tips on leveraging data to foster a safer and more engaged workforce. In today's webinar, we will delve into crucial aspects of employee engagement, especially focusing on safety in the workplace. This session aims to empower you with actionable insights and data-driven strategies to enhance the safety and engagement of your workforce. The discussion will be framed around 3 key topics. First, why engage the workforce in safety? Discover the importance of involving your team in safety practices. We'll discuss how engagement can lead to a safer, more productive work environment and the benefits it brings to your organization. Second, reasons for disengagement. We'll explore the common causes of employee disengagement and its impact on workplace safety. Learn to identify the signs and understand why employees might feel disconnected from safety initiatives. Third, way forward to create an engaged workforce. Finally, we'll share practical data-driven strategies to boost engagement and foster a culture of safety. You'll walk away with actionable steps to enhance your team's involvement and commitment to a safer workplace. Stay tuned and get ready to transform your workplace safety through effective employee engagement. Before we begin, let's go over some important instructions and protocols to ensure a smooth experience for everyone. During the presentations, all participants will be muted to minimize background noise and ensure clarity. Please keep your microphone muted unless you are invited to speak. You can ask questions throughout the webinar using the chat feature. Our moderators will be monitoring the chat and will address your questions during the Q&A sessions. We'll have time for questions at the end of the session. Also, we will be conducting live polls and interactive activities, so stay tuned and participate actively. Please avoid logging out or closing your session during the seminar to prevent any interruptions. You may leave at any time, but relogging in may not guarantee reconnection to the ongoing session. We encourage active participation. During the scheduled discussion periods, I have the opportunity to unmute yourself and join the conversation. Please wait for the moderator's instructions before unmuting your microphone. To ensure everyone can see and hear clearly, please confirm your audio and visual settings. Simply type yes or no in the chat or raise your hand, and our technical support team will assist you promptly. Thank you for your attention to these guidelines. We're here to make this webinar as informative and interactive as possible. For any further assistance, feel free to reach out to our team. Enjoy the webinar. Without further delay, let me hand it over to Mahendra to kick off our session. Mahendra, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I formally welcome everybody to the webinar on employee engagement, which can help organization to reduce the incidents and uh, improve the safety performance in the organization. To begin with, I would like to have a small poll. There is a QR code. You can scan the QR code. Would like to know your opinion on do you believe that employee engagement can really help organization to reduce the incident rate? So you can simply open your camera and scan the QR code and submit your responses. So we would like to know first whether this is a area which can definitely help organization to reduce the incident rate. So it's a very simple thing, but how it can contribute to organization. You can scan the code and submit your responses. Let's see what all you think about whether employee engagement can really help organization to reduce the incident rate. Then I'll share the score also. I hope you all are submitting the response. So I could see there are 4 responses, and everybody believes yes. The answer is yes. Employee engagement can definitely help uh, organization to reduce the incident rate in the organization. So thanks for the response. Now to move ahead, as everybody believes, because I could see only yes in the response, and few who have not yet submitted, I think the response will be yes only. Having said that, I'll refer to one of the research which is published by Gallup on the employee engagement, and there are actually 3 things they have talked about. The first one was the people who are actually engaged, the employee who are actually engaged in the organization. So 13% of the employee are engaged in the organization. Then 24% are actively disengaged, and there are almost 62 to 63% who are not engaged in the organization. This research talked a lot about employee engagement, and these insights can definitely help us how we can actually work on the people who are not engaged in the organization. If I look at the numbers, like 13% are actively engaged, so that's a wonderful thing. We already have 13% of the employee who are already engaged. So nothing to worry about those people. 24% are actively disengaged. So nothing we can do about these people. And people who are not engaged, those are the percentage is actually 62 to 63%. I think these are the numbers, or this is the area where we can actually focus to engage or do some work around this area where people can be engaged in terms of any kind of activity. I talk about safety, it can be on productivity, it can be on quality also. But specifically in terms of the numbers, which is on a higher side, that is 63% are not engaged, we can work around this area, and we can actually get the people engaged or the employee engaged at the workplace. And as the response you have already submitted, do really employee engagement help to reduce incident? And if I go by the number of 63%, yes. If I get this number, no, if I reduce this number and if I increase the engaged ratio, I think we can definitely have fewer incidents in the organization. So, having said this, let's see what are the signs of an engaged workforce. And if really employee are engaged at the workplace, so what exactly the result it can draw. So, if employee are engaged, and as you already said, it can have a lesser incidence in the organization. So, it will improve productivity because more of the people will be high. If productivity is on high side, obviously company will be profitable. It will increase the profitability of the company. So you'll have a competitive edge in the in the world. So I'll go back again. If the employee are already engaged in the organization, you'll have lesser incident based on the goal that we have taken. It will have improved productivity and the profitability also on the higher side. Now, if I am looking at the number of the Gallup, where 63% are the employee who are disengaged or not engaged, we should work around this area. And if I want to know what should I do about the 63% or a 62% where people are not engaged in my organization, so there has to be something which I need to do. So, but unless and until I don't know the areas where I should work on, so I should know the reasons why people are disengaged, first of all. So, having vast experience in the industry, you people have worked around various companies. So, based on your experience, I would like to know. There is again one more poll, and based on this, we'll definitely go into further details how the strategies can be defined uh, uh, to engage workforce. But would like to know what are the signs of disengaged employee from a safety perspective. Again, you can scan the QR code. There will be options given to you. It's a multiple choice. You can choose multiple options. But would like to know what are the main reasons why people are disengaged of the workforce when we talk about employee engagement in safety. And as per Gallup, it is 62 to 63% of the employees are disengaged or not engaged, basically. Rather disengaged, they are not engaged. So, from your perspective, would like to know what are the signs that why employees are disengaged at the workplace. I'll share the screen again for the responses to submit. Let's see what are the signs of disengaged workforce. I could see there is one response. Oh, employee don't report the hazards, low participation in safety committee meeting, employee regularly break the safety rules. Can we have some more responses? You can scan the QR code. I'm keeping it here. You can scan the QR code if you have not scanned and submit your response. Let's have a good discussion around, because this is the reason, or this will help us to frame the future strategy, how we can engage employee in terms of safety. So I'm waiting for a few more responses. There are 4 responses. So they say employee doesn't report injuries at the workplace, then low participant safety committee meeting. There are 5 responses. So there are various reasons I could see that why people are not actually engaged in terms of safety when it comes to employee engagement, and these are the pretty good reasons why people actually don't want to participate in safety, because these are the reasons I could see. Employee regularly breaks the safety rule, safety professional are viewed as cops in the organization, lack of respect for the safety program, and the performance doesn't improve in spite of doing many things. So thank you first of all for the response that you have given. Absolutely wonderful. I think there are 6 responses I could see now. These are the reasons or the signs of disengaged workforce when it comes to employee engagement, and these are the areas where actually we should work on. So let's go back and see how this can be improved at the organization level and how this can help us to improve the employee engagement in terms of safety. So having said that, there are a few other barriers for disengaged workforce. There are two reasons, one at the individual level and one at the management level. So if I look at the individual point of view, a few of the reasons which we get normally when we work around with various companies, nobody asks my opinion. When there are a lot of suggestions that employee gives when it comes to safety, but he feels it's not valued. The safety policy makes my job harder. That is what they believe. I'm working for so many years, but have not seen any improvement in safety. So these are the individual reasons. I have just listed some of the reason, the response that you have given, and some of the barriers that we have seen when we work with various companies. And at the management level, there are some reasons for the disengagement. And unless until these two doesn't come together, now we will not be able to improve the employee engagement in the organization. And these are the reasons where we should work around. But there is a methodology through which, or there is a strategy through which we should improve our employee engagement in the organization. And there has to be a structured approach when we talk about the employee engagement. So to move ahead, uh, let's hear it from Sujay sir, some of the tips of engagement, how, as we have seen some of the areas, now why people are disengaged in the organization. So let's hear it, some of the reasons or some of the points which can help organization to engage employee in safety. Sujay sir.
Sure. Thanks, Mahen. Let me put this in perspective. I'm to say we are talking about safety, obviously, and we are talking about a very important aspect of it, employee engagement through data-driven strategies. So one thing which we need to accept, and I'm sure it is stating the obvious, that the human being is at the center of all this. It's the human being whom we are talking about for this engagement. So some of the things which, or some of the obvious things which go towards a strong employee engagement is, firstly, give voice to your workers. I mean to say, uh, give voice to your colleagues, give voice to your employees. The simple step is one of the most effective ways to promote employee engagement. After all, the employees, especially those who work on the front lines, are usually the most knowledgeable about the common risks present in a work environment. Uh, Hearing their feedback, ideas, opinion allows one to develop a well-rounded, effective safety strategy and a strategy which employees would like to follow. It's especially important to include every most of the people in the organization in the conversation about health and safety, because it is easy to get their buy-in and sign off and so on and so forth. The second thing which comes to my mind is trust. Any organization, foundational aspect is trust, and trusting people to do right thing and the safe thing is very important. If we don't trust our colleagues, our employees, our partners, then the daily function can become a drudgery. It may stall if employees feel like they wait for an instruction before moving forward with tasks that contain certain element of risk. By establishing simple, clear guidelines, we can build up greater safety ownership within the workforce. And this is where technology plays a very important role. As I said at the very outset, that we are talking about safety, we are talking about an important aspect of safety, which is the employee engagement. And this engagement through data-driven strategies. Now, why are we talking about data-driven strategy? Because here we are talking about technology solutions as enablers uh, to power the employee engagement. And to power the technology solutions, we require data. And that's where the various solutions which offer the user the ability to access and view the guidelines and instructions is of extremely importance. Other aspect this comes to my mind, and these are very simple things which is commonsensical, that we need to act upon the safety feedback that we receive. Many a times one wonders that why safety feedback has not been acted upon, and this is from the perspective of the employee or the colleague or the worker. And if leaders don't act upon it, then disenchantment sets in, and people have an apathy towards anything to do with safety. As we are talking about data-driven strategies, so it is very important that we have the right kind of data to make safe decisions. Safer work comes in part from ensuring that our workers, our colleagues have reliable access to information they need to plan and carry out their task. The digital tools like the EHS application will provide employees with real-time information about certain risks so that they can adjust their work plans accordingly. Employees need to have checklists in digital form, and which are now more or less has become a norm and nothing new about it. Another thing which is very important is to create psychologically a safe workplace. Everybody needs to feel that they can speak openly about safety. They can speak openly about the mistakes and failures without fear or unjust repercussions. So the organization should be such, or the culture or the ethos of the organization has to be tailored in such a way that psychologically it's a safe workplace. And these are very important points to make or a, a strong employee engagement. With that, I hand over to you, Mahen.
That was really wonderful. I could take one or two points which are very important. The first one I clearly remember is the voice. Now you should hear the voice of the employees and leaders should act upon it. And the second is all about the data-driven thing. It's very important. You need to collect right data if you want to really improve in terms of employee engagement. And the last one, the psychological part. So moving ahead, let's see what is the correlation. What Sujay sir has talked about. Now, is there really a good correlation between safety performance and the employee engagement? Because at the end of it, when Sujay also talked about it, it has to be a data driven, it has to be technology driven. This can be enabler at the workplace. So is there kind of a correlation? And if there is a correlation which exists, what is that one correlation which exists in terms of the safety performance and the engagement? So we have rightly said, if the employee engagement ratio is high, the accident ratio or the incident which can happen, it's a proven research which is available, 62% less safety accidents at the workplace. So there is a strong correlation between these two elements, the performance and the employee engagement. Now moving ahead, I just want to have any kind of, we can have a small Q&A about whatever we have talked about. Do anybody have any questions as of now? What we have talked about, because we have covered one element of if there are people who are disengaged in the organization, we require certain kind of approach to improve that employee engagement. Any kind of questions till now? You can unmute and you can raise your question. I'll wait for 30 seconds, otherwise we'll move ahead. Any question till now?
Mahendra, not a question, but just a thought that now the things are improved what it was there previously, but because of this technological thing and the new techniques which are coming, so the engagement or the participation that is it is increasing, which which was not there previously, maybe 10 years back or something. This is my one thought.
Absolutely correct, sir. Technology is becoming an enabler, as Sujay sir has already said. Technology is becoming an enabler at the workplace, where he rightly talked about people can adjust the risk when people are working around. So engagement is definitely going increasing day by day in terms of if we use the technology at the first place in the organization. But that was really wonderful. So moving ahead, I just want to share one of the case study that we have worked with one of the company called Polar Steel, which is a Bhagyalakshmi Rolling Mill Private Limited, and we talked about employee engagement in the organization and the results that we got at the end of it. Here are the results that the incident rate reduced, the downfall of the average safety incident reduced by 37%, and company saved a lot of money in terms of definitely when it comes to incidents, and if you save the incident, a lot of cost was saved. Now, how this was done, we would like to go detail into how it was done with a data-driven approach, basically. So, we want to understand how this data-driven approach can help to engage, re-engage people who are disengaged in the organization, how we can engage them through safety. It's very important. So, do that, there is a proven methodology that we need to adopt if you really want to employee to be engaged at the workplace. So, at any point of time, if you go to the doctor and you said, okay, there is something, you have a fever, you go to the doctor. The first and the foremost thing the doctor will do, he will try and diagnose what is wrong with your body or what is wrong. So even for employee engagement, when we talk about that, we need a start point from where we should start. The first element in the process itself is assess the current state of your organization where you are. Because unless until we don't use a diagnostic tool where we stand as of now in terms of employee engagement, we will not know from where to start. So that becomes a baseline. Once you do this current assessment of the where you stand, you will get two things basically. One is the enablers and one of the barriers for the areas of improvement. Enablers are the good points. You should do more things in terms of enablers. When it comes to barriers, definitely you'll have to frame some kind of strategies in your organization, develop action plan, develop implementation plan. Once you design that, then you need to check the desired level whether you're reaching that level or not. So it's a simple formula. It's nothing great. You need to assess the current level where you are, identify the enablers and the barriers, design a develop action plan, and check whether you have reached the desired level or not. But to do that, if you want to know what is the current level as of now, what is the current state where we stand in the organization. So you need to define some kind of scale in your organization to do that. And it's completely data-driven approach because trying to collect the data. As we conducted a poll, we got some kind of data, what people are thinking about, what are the reasons of disengage. It's a proven data that we have seen and people are talking about it. So here also, when we talk about assess the current level in the organization, it's a data-driven approach and you need to design some kind of scale and you need to design some questionnaire. How you'll do it? To design the current state or to know the current state of your organization, you need to design a survey or some kind of questionnaire to know where we stand as of now. There will be checkpoints in the survey, and where the checkpoints will come from. The checkpoints will come from your policies, whatever you have designed in your organization. So it's very simple. You need to design a survey. Survey will have some kind of questionnaire. Questionnaires have some kind of checkpoints to know what are the enablers and what are the barriers in the organization. And these checkpoints will come from the policies that you have designed in your organization. Now, let's do a simple live exercise. When I talk about policies, how policies are the one which can define your checkpoints in the organization. So if it's a live exercise, you can also do it. You can also draw a table and you can actually do a live exercise. We'll do it together. So if I put across the name of the policies, the training policy, the hazard run policy, or the safety committee policy, or the safety performance policy, there are n number of policies that we have in our organization. Every policy will have two elements, very important. If I talk about the training policy, it will have some kind of engagement activities that we want to perform at the workplace. Training itself is an engagement activity. And it will have some kind of there are certain elements which are designed in the training policy which can actually decrease the engagement level in the organization. Now, how it has been designed, that's very important. You need to check every policy that you have designed whether it has two elements. One is the engagement element, and one is if there are certain things that we do which can actually decrease the engagement of employee in my organization. And it will have some kind of impact. So now if I talk about the training and the hazard and policy, this will improve the engagement because it will encourage employee to participate more. Very important, training policy and the hazard and policy. We are actually involving people to do to improve the competency. Or if I talk about the hazard and we are telling employees, okay, you identify more hazards. We are involving people. They're getting involved. But after it has been done, what kind of recognitions or the rewards that is given to people, that matters a lot. I go back to the point when Sujasha talked about the feedback and the voice of the employees. If they have given some kind of suggestions, how many times we really act upon it and what kind of recognitions is given to the employee? Otherwise, if I go back to a policy of unsafe act, unsafe condition, where we talk about, okay, we need to capture every month, every employee need to report unsafe act, unsafe condition. There are number, we define a KPI. We say, okay, 10 number of unsafe act, unsafe conditions should be reported. This is that he has to report. If you go back really to the data that you have collected till now, you will get to see a quantitative data. You'll get to see a data which is there. Many times I see many companies when they say, okay, they need to report 10 unsafe act. Now, sometimes I see it's a repeat. Now, people generally repeat the same unsafe act, unsafe condition because at the end of the month they have to submit it. Imagine if there is a buy-in. Imagine if there is a buy-in and people report on their own. The hazards will be of qualitative data. It will not be of quantitative data. So every policy that you have designed in the organization will definitely have an effect on the engagement and the disengagement. If I go for the training policy itself, there are a lot of training that we do in the organization. What kind of training have been done? What kind of environment we have really created in terms of imparting the training? It matters a lot. If it is done for a compliance purpose, definitely it will not help you to improve the engagement at the workplace. If it is done purely from the competency building point of view, definitely it will help you. People will get engaged. And if you really want to engage people in the organization, if I go by one of the policies, that is a good practice policy or the good act policy, that we should capture people who are doing good acts in the organization. I could see one of the reason when the response was given by many people, safety people are seen as cops in the organization. Because the moment a safety person walks around on the shop floor, people correct their behaviors, people correct their PPs. They should do it on their own. So if you start collecting the good acts in the organization and we start publishing this data, a lot of point will come. This is one of the best policy we should have in terms of employee engagement. And people should report these good acts in the organization. So if you really, if you draw this matrix and you see, if you write on the policies and if you write the engagement, what kind of engagement the training policy can bring, what are the elements that we are doing actually, that will bring the disengagement. This will help you a lot, and what kind of impact it can have. So all the engagement policies and the checkpoints to do the survey will come from your policies itself. And once you design the survey in a good way, you can collect the data. This data will speak a lot, and that data will help you to define the further strategies. But it's all about the qualitative data and the quantitative data that we talk about. So again, Surya sir would like to know, because as we talked about, this checkpoints has to come from policies, and a lot of leaders are involved in designing these policies, and people are involved when it comes to workplace safety. So we'd like to know your thoughts on leadership about these checkpoints and how this can help about employee engagement, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Mahin. So we have taken this, proposition or our focus on employee engagement to the next level. That, as I mentioned earlier, that it's a human being who is at the center of things, and in an organizational setup, obviously the person who initiates, propagates, or drives that employee engagement happens to be the leader. And a leader has such a very important role to play, because he has to see that this engagement is robust, comprehensive, all pervasive. And here we also have a huge amount of data which gets generated. We all know we are living in an age of data overload, and that's where Mahin alluded to the fact that there is a need for quantification of it, or there is a quantitative part of it or qualitative part of it. However, coming to leadership for employee engagement, there are certain skills which leaders should re-emphasize in themselves, and these are very simple and fundamental or foundational to any leadership style. But one of the most important part of it is that when a leader is talking about an employee engagement and human being at the center of things, the approach should be of a transformational leadership. It cannot be a transactional, managerial kind of stuff where a task-oriented or a work-oriented approach can be taken. So that it has to be a transformational kind of a leadership which will be there, where you have to listen a lot. In fact, leader has to listen, because listening is very important to a leader's input about various things. Good listening or active listening involves paying attention not only to the meanings and feelings, but also the underlying facts. It also requires demonstration of empathy. Now, overall, what I'm talking about is very, very effective communication on part of the leader. So the basic skills of listening, reading, writing, and communicating comes together with it. Now, you may say this is very obvious. A leader has to do that. But what is needed in communication is that it is one has to re-emphasize that communication is a two-way street. So employees will have to feel safe while engaging in a dialogue, or your colleagues have to feel safe when engaging in a dialogue. Communication is also important from point of negotiation and resolving conflicts. But then again, it's so very important for employee engagement. Other aspect which again needs to be focused is caring and empathy. A leader has to demonstrate a genuine concern for others. A leader has to be open to the needs and concerns to make sure that the elements are factored in the safety guideline or the safety framework which is being worked upon. Collegiality or ability to being approachable or relatable is very important for a leader, and the leader has to treat everyone more or less equally regardless of their role in the company hierarchy or the organizational hierarchy. But engaging is it's a multi-pronged game where you have to really bring your being to genuinely authentically engage with a person, because moment there is a superficiality in a leader's approach to engage, he loses the plot. Because here we are talking about bringing safety to the front and center of an organizational operation. And if we are to bring in safety to the front and center to the organizational operation, then engaging with all all stakeholders in the organization is very important, and leader plays the primary and very important role to it. And a transformational leadership skill is very much necessary apart from the technical knowledge or the domain expertise which leaders should obviously have. With that, I hand over to you, Mahin.
Thank you so much, sir. So you mean to say these leaders are the one who can contribute more in terms of now when it comes to employee engagement, and they can help design the survey which I talked about as of now. They can help to design the survey which can help to collect responses to know where actually the company stands in terms of the employee engagement and from where they should start. Coming to the second point of it, once you have designed the survey, you can design a scale. When I talk about a scale, definitely how many of the disengaged percentage, how many of the non-engaged percentage, and nearly engaged. You can define the scale the way you want for your organization. There is no a kind of a standard rule. Okay, you need to have. You can give weightages to the scores, weightages to the questions that you have designed or the checkpoints that you have taken from your policies, and a score can be designed. Why we need a score? Because once you collect the response, okay, in which category are the one where we are lagging, or which are the categories which which are enablers, or the categories which are basically barriers in the organization, you can very easily define those, and based on those, you can actually define the future strategies in the organization. So once you have the score design and the survey design, you need to collect simply the responses. And once you collect the responses, there are only two elements that you need to work on now. You will identify the enablers and you identify the barriers. Now you define the roadmap, how you will develop the future roadmap, which can actually help you to engage more employees in the workplace. And it is completely a data-driven approach that we're talking about. So one, to define the plan on the based on the barriers that you have identified in the organization, because you need to improve on those areas. So you need to define the drivers. What are the drivers in that policies which actually has shown the less sign of disengagement? What are the drivers that you need to define for? Once you define the drivers, you define the key matrices around it. Once you define the key matrices, you can define the what kind of execution you will do. And definitely the last one is all about the follow-up. So for the barriers that you have identified, or you will be able to know when to do the survey based on the scores that you have defined. Define the drivers, define the key matrices, define the execution plan, and do the follow-up. Now, how this can be done? Again, there is a proven methodology when people are engaged in the organization. There are 4 types of basically emotions which can help you identify, okay, we are actually improving on employee engagement. If I read it carefully, enthusiasm is 1, inspired is 1, empowered is 1, and the confident. These are the 4 emotions through which you can actually know that, okay, your employees are actually getting engaged at the workplace. When I talk about enthusiasm, employee are enthusiastic about safety in the job. If they see safety as a hindrance, where they say policy is one of the response which was given, and many of them have given a response to it. Okay, safety policies become a hindrance for doing or increasing the productivity. So enthusiasm, employee are enthusiastic about safety in the job. If they take it as a burden for them, it's very difficult. So if you see this sign, people are enthusiastic, then it's one good sign. Inspired, employee are motivated by their leaders basically. Sujas sir has rightly covered this point. Empowered employee are allowed to analyze the risk at the workplace. Obviously, with the help of technology, you can do that. And if they're getting empowered, that is again one sign of people are getting engaged. Confident people are sure that you will achieve excellence at the workplace. 95% of the employees that feel at least three of these are they're engaged at the workplace, and that's a sign of it. And you can note it down, because once you design the drivers, basically your drivers has to revolve around these 4 points or the four emotions. And if the drivers doesn't have the right combination of it, how much you try, you will not able to reach up to that level where you actually want to reach in terms of employee engagement. So these are the four basic emotions that we need to work around at the workplace. So having talked about these four emotions, or those signs which can help us to see whether people are engaged at the workplace or not. Suja sir, what is your thought on this? How we can get the employee more engaged when it comes to safety culture? Because at the end of it, it is going to improve the safety culture also. Your thoughts on it, sir?
Yeah, so see, to bring in any kind of a culture in any organization, it is a task. I mean to say, obviously, it is the primary responsibility rests on the leadership. However, it has to, if it has to be a culture, it has to pervade over every aspect of the organization. And to bring that, I will again reiterate the importance of communication, the two-way communication, which constantly should be there. Team leaders or leaders have to listen to their members' needs, concerns, and ideas to encourage creative thinking. This can further build the trust between various stakeholders. You have to create a psychologically safe workplace and an environment where people or everybody feels comfortable about discussing issues or suggestions. Um, Recognizing excellent work is very important. We are talking about safety is always seen, and let me just digress a bit and go back to what Mahen talked about. Anybody who is dealing with environment, health, safety, or safety in an organization is still seen as a pseudo policeman by others, and that's where I think there is a huge element of pushback or a kind of disconnect with develops. Now, a whole lot of good work gets done in a day's work. I mean to say good work which is towards safety, and hence recognizing those good acts towards safety is so very important. Recognizing the excellent work is so very important, and having a reward system to incentivize the positive behavior is so very important. Public praise can also help in encouraging everybody that small acts, good acts towards safety is recognized. Another aspect which is important is when we are talking about safety is uh, we all live in aspirational societies, and everybody, an individual, wants to know what is there for me in this. Why is it that I should invest my time, energy, effort towards this? What is there in me for this? And that's very important, because a person should see a personal individual should see a personal growth. Employee should see a growth aspect in, if there is a training program towards safety, if there is anything which comes from safety. And this is where I think it's very important that we design various aspects of safety tailored to individual needs or a person needs. Now, if the training programs are factor in the employee needs or the worker needs and allow them to develop new skills and gain valuable knowledge to benefit them, then it is a benefit for overall the organization. Career development opportunities such as mentorship program also provide a chance to learn from more experienced colleagues while networking professionals from outside the company. So this is extremely important. Other is nurturing positive work relationship. Now we all know that every organization or various organizations that we have worked, there is an element of toxicity because of the interfunctional rivalry, interfunctional competition which is there. But creating an atmosphere of collaboration ensures that people are comfortable working together in teams, actively engaging during group projects or tasks. Regular meetings, structured interactions definitely are needed, and safety becomes a platform for those collaborations of thoughts, ideas, and concerns. And it's very important to have those positive work relationship with the via media of safety. Positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement again cannot be overemphasized. Creating an environment of positive reinforcements means taking time to recognize your team members' hard work by by just saying a thank you or rewarding the successful tasks and goals. Expressing gratitude can be done by everyone and anyone, and this demonstrates the mutual respect while encouraging collaboration between various stakeholders and team members. uh, Team building opportunities. Safety provides a very good platform for fostering. I mean to say, we can foster a safety culture by having safety as a via media for team building. And hence, it is very important to have regular activities, whether it is through gamification, whether it is through various other means to build up teams where safety is the binding factor. Technology. Technology is, as I said, is all pervasive. And if we do not use technology in whatever we are doing on safety, I think we are missing a very, very important aspect. Without integrating technology, I do not think in today's world we can bring in a safety culture. We can usher in any kind of safety consciousness. Uh, Without enabling presence of technology. And that's why we are talking of data driven strategies, because any successful use of technology can only happen when we have these data driven strategies. uh, Incentivizing good practices, as I talked about, good acts is again one of the important things, and there are several organizations which do this in various ways. And it has yielded successful results. So the 62%, the Gallup poll, which was mentioned earlier, 62% of disengaging employees, is it is just a matter of adopting this multi-pronged approach where there is one strong human element where we use all those aspects of engagement, and other is using technology to internalize this employee engagement within the organization through success as a via media. So that's where I would emphasize on things, Mahen.
Thank you so much, sir. I could make out one thing is data is one that will help organization. The technology is one which can help organization to get this safety culture improvement ratio on a higher side. So thank you, sir, for adding that.
So Mahen, I will interrupt.
Sir.
I think we have a question from Colin, and I think we might as well take that.
Yeah, why not? So
yes, actually, I did not have a question. I just had a point that I wanted to add to all of this. The way
Yes, sir.
I look at it is when you're driving your car, do you wear your seatbelt because you want to avoid paying fine, or you wear your seatbelt because you understand the safe aspect of it? You know, majority of the people today are wearing seatbelt only because they don't want to pay fines. They don't understand that this small act that is being enforced by the government or traffic regulations is actually to save your life in case of an emergency.
absolutely correct, sir. Absolutely correct. We unless only there is a fine, that's called as R minus, or the punishment level. There is a R plus and the R minus. We definitely, as a human element, when Sujal sir talked about, we employee engagement is all about human behaviors and humans. We are working around people who are working around us. So that punishment is one which is driving us. So there is a concept called ABC, antecedent, behaviors, and consequences. Our behavior will only change based on the consequences. What is the consequences? That if I have to pay the fine, I will put a statement. But there is a second consequences, as you rightly mentioned, whether the person is really aware about, okay, I need to do it for myself because I am the one who want to be safe. So it's antecedent, behaviors, and consequences. Majority, as you rightly said, people follow rules because there is an element of punishment and they want to do it. Suja sir, your thought on it?
Yeah, I mean to say a very important point which Colin brought out, and yes, the consequential correlation is very important. But I think we are becoming there is a shift in the consciousness in terms of safety, and as we get into mature organizations or organizations which are focused towards excellence, there is this movement towards accepting or acknowledging or adapting the safety practices, because one is aware of the overall good that it brings in.
Absolutely. So there is a paradigm shift which is happening as of now. People are getting aware about safety. But thank you, Colin sir, for bringing that point. It's very important that why we do it, why we, unless and we don't pay fine, we cannot to avoid fines. We put safety belt, but rather we should be self-conscious about putting the belts, and we should be avoiding any kind of incident which can happen in the future in our life. So coming back to the point, the real case study we talked about. So the points which I showed you, okay, we need to do a survey based on the policies we need to have, we need to collect the data and define the future strategies based on the drivers, the matrices, execution plan, and the follow-up. We actually followed this path for this company called Pollard Steel. And based on that, we got this result of employee engagement. This was one big project that we did with this company, and it revolved around only about how people can be engaged. It's a steel rolling plant. It's a very huge plant. It's of 1,000 crore, and they have a workforce of almost 2,000 people. It's a hot rolling mill, and they wanted to improve this employee engagement ratio. Basically, when we did the diagnostic approach, we followed the diagnostic approach. We came to know, okay, people are not engaged in terms of safety, and we followed this proven path, the path which we have just discussed, and sir also talked about leadership and other aspect. Moving ahead, there is one more company that we worked with. It's a BPCL, very famous company of oil and gas sector. We actually collected the data in terms of what we talked about on the policies part of it. We every month we had a wonderful engagement drive that we did now based on the hazard that was identified in the for a month. Like in a month, if you identify 5 to 6 hazards, we design some kind of contest around those hazards. Do really people are aware about these hazards? Do they understand the hazard? And if they understand, do they know the control measures around it? And this was a small theme-based engagement strategy that we did based on the hazards of every month, based on the data or the hazards that we have identified. And this was purely based on the departmental level. It's not on the organizational level, but for every department, the theme was very different based on the hazards. Then the near miss which was identified, again, it was done contractor wise. It's oil and gas company. A lot of contractors work, almost 15,000 plus contractor work at the in the refinery. So it was done on the contractor level, the near miss that we identified, or we small strategies that we did. And we started connecting, we started having rewards for the contest that we did. These rewards were displayed at the place, in the restroom, or in the leadership. We designed the leadership board. Everything was displayed everywhere, whatever what we did now on the theme base, and everybody started talking about it because it was visible. And one important thing that we did about is what we, for the first and the foremost thing, whenever we come to an we start our work, the first 1 hour was only dedicated for capturing the good acts in the organization. We had displayed TVs at various locations. You need to simply upload the photograph, and these photographs will be visible across the organization in the first hour of when you start the work. Good acts. When we want to become a good company, rather capturing the unsafe act, unsafe condition early morning. If you start capturing, that is what Sujay sir also talked about. If you start capturing the good acts in the organization, this will completely change the perspective of the people who work around. Because any person in the world wants to be a positive person. Nobody wants to be a negative person in the world. Everybody wants to be a positive person, and we ourselves would like to only interact with people who are actually positive. We never want to interact with people who are actually negative in the life. So similarly, why safety is seen as a cops in the organization, or safety officers or safety managers? Early morning, we go and just capture the unsafe act. You start capturing the good act. Let me tell you, honestly, the experience that we had with working with various companies, people will love to interact with you. Let them see safety managers are the people who can help them return home safely every day. So these are the small things which I'm talking about, that you can have theme-based engagement strategies for every month. Try and see how this will improve the engagement ratio. Why I'm saying a small steps every month basis, because if you start developing a long-term strategy, you will not have time for correction. these small strategies, if you take one by one step, now if there is something, the correction has to be done, you can do it immediately so that nothing fails. Otherwise, on a larger scale, the entire project can fail, because it's not that every company can succeed in terms of employee engagement. No, it's not, because it required a complete data-driven approach, and that is what we talked about. It starts from the survey to identify the right barriers. If you don't identify the right barriers, even how much hard you try to develop your next strategy, it will not work for you. So it's very important how you design that survey, and there comes the role of leadership, how that checkpoints can be taken from the policy. It's very, very crucial. It's very important. Imagine at the first step itself, if the doctor does the wrong diagnosis, and if you give the wrong medicine, you can imagine what can happen with the patient. Similarly, with every organization, how much hard you try, but if your base itself is wrong, how much hard you try, you will not be able to reach that level. And we really don't want that you should reach to that level. So be careful when you design these things. So it's a theme-based strategy that was implemented based on the hazards of the month. Now we had some kind of hazard hunt context we did. Now what kind of TPTs? When I say toolbox talk, many companies do toolbox talk. After doing the toolbox talk, do you try to measure what is the effect after the TPT is done? If I do TPT for 7 days consistently in an area, the expectation will be the behaviors of the people will reduce, or the unsafe act in the area will reduce, or the good act in the area will definitely improve. So we tried to revolve all engagement strategies around it, and we have structured the reward structure in a way where I talked about a small thank you, or a pat on the back can really help. So we had a very wonderful reward structure when we did this kind of engagement strategy, and it paid off for companies like BPCL or the clients where we have worked. Typically, when we try to collect the data, we're talking about data driven. Typically, when we try to collect the data on a normal day-to-day basis, though a lot of good things are done, but we try to collect the data, we get to see. If I look at it from a Henry Stangl point of view, we're trying to collect the qualitative data. How much more data I have, because there is a normal, what to say, a thought that more data I can do a good decision, or I can make better decision if I have a good amount of data. Definitely, data is oil and fuel every day for today's world, but a right quantitative data or a qualitative data can help you make strong decision. This is a normal way every company is working around. They are focusing on how to reduce incident. They're collecting a lot of data, but is it really qualitative? That's very important. And if you have an engagement at your workplace, a right combination of engagement, let me guarantee you that before engagement, this was the Henry Stangl that we worked with the companies, and after engagement, if you see the unsafe act, unsafe condition, or the hazard which was reported by the people went up, the near miss went up. This actually helped us to reduce the incident rate in the organization. It's about what kind of quality, it's meaningful data or the qualitative data. When people are engaged, they will not simply report the data, they will report a qualitative data, because they are highly engaged and they are worried about the people who are working around them. So if you have a good engagement strategy in your company based on the survey or the barriers that you have defined, you will definitely see a good data, a qualitative data, which can help you to make strong decision to reduce the incident rate in the organization. It's very important. And this is the visible thing. You can actually witness this when you have a good engagement strategy at your workplace, and this will keep increasing in your organization. So in a normal way, if you're trying to collect the data, we say collect the data. No doubt, data is the one which can help you to make strong decision. You can analyze or train. Many things can be done. But if it is with the engagement, you can have a meaningful data at your workplace, which can actually help you to identify the hazards at the workplace and the near miss at the workplace. Because if I just Google it out just now, if you Google it out and you want to know what is the barriers, why people don't report near miss, if you Google it now itself, the first reason will be, once the near miss is reported, there is no appreciation given to the person who has reported. There is no follow-up action being communicated to the person who has reported the near miss. He has not been given a reward when he has reported a near miss, or the process is very lengthy, or once he reports a near miss, it can be seen as a burden in the organization. So these are the barriers. So if you have engagement, people will definitely start reporting near miss in the organization. So improve your engagement. Many of the times we can get confused in terms of the communication and the engagement. Engagement is all a complete different game altogether. It's all about attracting people, involving people, and establishing a right relation. I hope I remember that point when Sujay talked about how what kind of relation you have between your peers and the colleagues or the managers who work around. What kind of relation bond that you have created. So engagement, he rightly put engagement, it's a bonding basically. So engagement is all about attracting people, getting involved, and establishing. Communication is far away about only passing the information we can pass on day-to-day basis, sharing some kind of knowledge or some kind of persuade influence. That is what we can do with help of communication. But yes, communication is a two-way. That what he talked about when leaders has to be. It's a two-way path. But engagement is all about attracting, involving, and establishing a relation. Now this can help you to do multiple things in the organization. From an organizational perspective, to improve engagement, now you have to give first. You have to give the right tools, because many times when I work around various companies, we saw that okay, you don't have a right tool to work. So give the right things to people. Like I talked when Suja also talked about, if you give the right amount of data to the people, they can make right decision to adjust the risk at the workplace. So giving the right amount of access to everything to an employee will definitely he will have an engagement. You'll see engagement ratio will going up. Now, involve them when you design some kind of mission strategies or vision or the policies that you design. Involve them. There is a buy-in has to be there. If the buy-in is not there, how much hard you try, it will not help you. Then collaborate. It's very important. And what kind of rewards and structures you have, very important. This plays a very important role. If I go and do some kind of research, rewards comes at the first. Every person wants to be appreciated at the workplace. It's very important. Simply showing his photograph on a television in the organization or displaying his photo, definitely it's a very good sign. Very good sign. He feels really appreciated, and he can contribute more in an organization. So from an organization perspective, if you really want to improve the engagement, give, involve, collaborate, and reward. Have design your strategies around this. Let's see, we have talked about many of the reasons how we can improve the engagement ratio in the organization or what kind of strategies we should have. Sujay sir, from your point of view, any kind of reasons which can actually fail, the strategic fail in terms of employee engagement?
Yeah, there are a whole lot of and these are well recorded. They have been studied, and they have been. I myself have encountered this in the organizations which I have worked in. So let me just quickly talk about it. The why these various reporting systems, the systems that we put in place for safety fail. One of the very fundamental reasons I have seen is when you make the reporting tools very difficult. Employees will avoid reporting if the tools if the tools which are there are very difficult. Now, what do you mean by difficult? You make it so complex that for an average person, it is difficult to input the data or to understand it, and so on. So, how does one judge the element of difficulty or in a environment safety tool? Well, there are two matrices which can be used. One is the employee adoption rate. By employee adoption rate, I mean the percentage. What is the percentage of employees that use this system? Now, it should minimally be more than 50%, preferably be 80 to 90%. So that's one of the matrices. The second is average or median reporting rates. By this, what I mean is how many reports an employee or a worker or a colleague reports on annual basis. It should be minimum 2 to 5, preferably more than 10. So these are the kind of matrices which can help you understand whether the reporting tool which has been made, whether it is manual, whether it is a very elementary technology has been used, and so on. So difficulty in inputting or difficulty in the tool itself, dissuades employees to use it or dissuades stakeholders to use it. The second point is when you keep the tool, and here I presume most of the companies nowadays use a technology tool. When you have a limited access to employees and other stakeholders, if you haven't given the access to contractors, other stakeholders for reporting channels, and maybe it is due to cost consideration or something else, you are not giving everyone a voice to say something when they see something. Accessibility for everyone means that all stakeholders, all employees can use reporting channels. So this is a very important aspect. The third point which I will have is today any technology which has not come as an app on a mobile somehow loses on its acceptance. So the technology tool which is being adapted in an organization has to be such that it's available. There is a mobile functionality to it, and hence easy to use, easy to report, easy to get feedback, and so on and so forth. Uh, Also, apart from the mobile part of it, there is also a need to have offline functionality. Uh, there are times when employees, workers in some part of the premises may not have access to the internet on a job site, but it is important that they can still report a possible hazard as soon as they notice with all the relevant details and images, or uh, they may put it in certain way so that offline the reporting can be done. So when you don't have this kind of mobile or offline functionality, it works against the entire system. Other thing is poor or non-existent feedback loops. Now, receiving reports is only the first leg of what can be a very long marathon. You need to keep providing feedback throughout the whole process to keep your employee or stakeholder engaged. This builds confidence, transparency, accountability. Now, keeping stakeholders involved and up to date, regardless of the size of the issue, is very important. Everybody hates the bottomless pits of feedback and hearing a feedback a year after a report was initially filed. So this is very important. The feedback loops have to be robust and very comprehensive. One-way communication. Now, one-way communication is a sure recipe for failure. You have to have two-way communication, and I have emphasized on it earlier. The lessons learned are not shared. I have seen many a times because there is sensitivity attached to it. Some sensibilities will be hurt. So these kind of reasons are seen, and we lose out on a very, very important aspect. It is important to see that information sharing as a part of is a part of company culture. Howsoever embarrassing a lesson maybe, it has to be socialized, and there has to be a transparent communication towards it. This is a very, very important aspect. Then information distribution. Now, safety information many a times is are siloed. The decisions are siloed, the decisions are held, and there are huge reasons around it at times. But this information backlog definitely defeats the whole idea of safety culture, of employee engagement, and so on and so forth. Another thing which comes in, apart from making a tool very, very complex, is too many reporting channels. So there are a whole lot of reporting channels which will be there for a safety purpose. Now, it is important to understand that if all other functions, just like safety, such as quality or risk management or IT security, also insist employees to use channels for incidents and deviations of their respective areas of responsibility, all these channels are competing for the mental capability of the staff. Most agile companies use a single channel for all types of observations, regardless of the function of origin or department. Now, this is extremely a very, very important aspect, because this again is a sure shot recipe for disaster and defeats the whole intent of the employee engagement and the data driven strategies around it. Now, another aspect is that, when, and again here I'm talking of a situation where most of the reporting happens through platforms. When the reporting platform doesn't automate the sharing and assignment of the report to the right person based on the context of the issue, so that there is no clogging of that those reports. Generally, reporters may not want to cause trouble or to be burdensome. It may be due to the fear of their superior, or just simply the fact that they don't want to make anyone already busy or busier. They may back off from this. Hence, it's very important to bring in simplicity in the reporting channel, simplicity in which the tools are being used, the user friendly interface that we have for the reporting and so on. Blame game. Now every organization, this is so very much there. I mean to say, there is a blame game and it's always somebody else's fault. However, we have to see that employees come forward, and even if they anticipate negative repercussions, they report. We also have to make sure anonymous reporting as an option to encourage more reporting of incidences, rather than making it a hush hush thing. Anonymous reporting is a basic requirement for any whistleblowing and so on. So there should be openness and transparency in all this. Finally, I find one more aspect. We are now conversing in English and we all understand each other. But when we are talking about the bottom layer of any organization or any workforce, we have to see that there are no language barriers. So there has to be a localization of the language, or the local language has to be used so that the person can articulate things, the safety aspect rightly, correctly, to the point, by using the right language. So these were my thoughts on various reporting systems, which the barriers, or kind of, in spite of having a very good reporting system, it doesn't work because of factors which I have just now mentioned.
It's the acceptance level that you're talking about, sir. It's again, there is engagement. People has to be engaged, and acceptance level has to be high. I like that one word. I remember that blame game, and we have designed one policy for one of our clients: no blame, no name, no name, no blame game, and the anonymous reporting was on. But that was really wonderful point. So, can we have a quick poll on the technologies that many of you might be using at your workplace, or the technology which can actually help organization to improve engagement? This is the last poll that you want to conduct. Now, what are the technology that you think can help organization to improve employee engagement? You can simply scan the QR code, and after that, I'll display the responses that you have given. But that point was really nice. What you talked about, blame game, and these are the reasons, or the acceptance, which can actually bring down the engagement ratio in a longer run. So you can simply scan the QR code, and it's a multiple choice. You can choose as many response you want. This might be the meantime, I'll show this QR code again if somebody has not yet scanned. I hope we have the responses now. I'll get to get the response. But technology definitely can be one of the reasons, as you have rightly mentioned, Sujay sir, which can help organization. So, by the time the response, I would like to move ahead. What are the types of engagement program that company can actually do at the workplace, which can help them to improve engagement? And to list few of them of the engagement program is, they can design wellness and the fitness program, or they can have point-based reward structure. Now, progress tracking can be one of the, as you mentioned. I mean, you mentioned about 2 to 5 reporting can be done, or it can be maximum 10. Internal social access should be given to people, where data can be shared, or the learnings can be shared on the internal platform. And ranking leadership board can be designed by people in the organization to improve the engagement ratio. Few other example of employee engagement can be, you can have small safety contests. That is what we did in terms of BPCL and the Polar client that we talked about. We can make over the observation videos itself. Whatever observations we have, we can actually use them as a learning in the organization. Peer-to-peer recognition, it's very important. And online learning with some kind of gamification can definitely help people to get engaged at the workplace. Organization can design some of the engagement strategies based on this principle. There are many more things. I'm just showing few of them how it can. And at the last of it, you need to keep checking whether you're reaching the desired level or not. You need to keep collecting the data. Again, once you do the survey and you design the execution plan, you again need to collect the data where we have reached. Are we reaching? Are we in the right direction or not? Or we can have some kind of course correction. For that, you can design your dashboards. You can create your own dashboards to monitor, are we reaching there? This is based on the drivers that you have defined and the key matrices. The dashboard can look like this: personal growth, what kind of training program you're doing, the technical skills that people are getting given, relation with manager, relation with colleagues, what are the relations they have. And if the people are really engaged, if the employee are really engaged in your workplace, you will see a behavioral shift in people. They will exhibit certain behavior which can actually will help you in a certain way. And what are those behavior? They will start doing more things. They will consistently do much more good things in terms of safety. They will influence other people at the workplace, and they will strive to do more. They will go beyond. And this is the behavioral change that you're looking for. If the people are engaged at the workplace, this is the behavioral change that you're looking at. So in fact, there is a wonderful concept called behavioral based safety. When we talk about it, is nothing but how to engage employee at the workplace. So they will do more, they'll influence more, they'll strive more. And this is a good thought. Once you collect the survey, you can design your own board. In the board, people who are there, how many are engaged, how many are disengaged, how many are not engaged. And you need to work on the people who are disengaged and not engaged in the workplace. You can have some kind of statistical board like this. So we can move to our Q&A session. Before we move to the Q&A session, would like to say a few things.
Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day or evening, and we will see you next time. Stay connected with us for more insightful webinars and events. Welcome to a new era of workplace excellence. Are you looking to boost employee engagement and ensure safety at every step? Introducing our Employee Engagement and Safety e-learning course designed for modern teams. Learn through interactive modules, real-world scenarios, and insights from industry experts. Engage with our captivating videos, test your knowledge with quizzes, and earn a certificate to show your commitment. Build a positive workplace culture and stay prepared for any safety challenges. Ready to take the next step? Enroll today and make a difference in your workplace. Together, let's build a safer, more engaged workplace. We hope you found this session insightful and valuable for your professional growth. Please take a moment to fill out our quick feedback form by scanning the QR code. Your insights will guide us in delivering even better content in the future. It's easy and only takes a few minutes. Simply scan the QR code or click the link provided in the chat to share your thoughts.
You can scan the QR code and give the feedback. Now we can have a quick Q&A session. Any kind of questions that you like to ask? Shira, do we have any questions?
No, I think we do not have any questions, so we are good to close, I think.
So one more time, thank you so much. We'll meet next time with a new
Thank
topic
you.
on data-driven safety. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Shreya. Thank you, Avni. Thank you, Sujal sir, for joining. Thank you so much.